This is the second step of cleaning up and trying to put a name or titles onto each of these psalms. 55, 59, and 64, and you can see there's quite a few of them that I threw out. And I will go through those soon or after these to show why I threw them out. We need to get to 55. Is that what I said to start with? Yeah, 55, 59, okay. Now here, I added the word, when I went through these, I didn't put in all the titles for our creator. So in this one, we have Adonai added, and that would have been here. And we need to define whether it means our Lord as our creator or our Lord as Jesus. When I first came across this one, this is the king in Samaria when the women were starving of food, and because he asked them, what was it? What are they arguing about? And she said, well, this woman wants to eat my son because we have no food. Now, this king also has sackcloth underneath his robes. And I know that when I find this king, I know that the one I've done previously will go with his words. And I will show you as I go through why I believe it is this king from Samaria. Now, Samaria is not where you think it is. So let me see if I have a map with Samaria on it. I've got plenty of maps, so let's see. Okay, here is where I have placed Samaria. This is Lake Galilee up here. Let me see if you can see that. No, you can't. Up here is where I say is Lake Galilee. Now this text here is from the map that East Manasseh has already been lost to Aram, or the people that were in Damascus. Now what happened is King Omar buys a hill here, and then the stories build up, and later we find out it's Samaria. And what the king did was he was relocating the capital city for Israel. When they made it Bethel, then they had a battle down there, and he ended up having to come up here because he was, I think it was Rehoboam that went and bought or paid off the king from Aram to come down here and fight. So he set up, or he bought this hill, and then later we learn that it was fortified, and then we later learn stories that it makes itself Samaria, because the king, the story goes that there was a king here, and he was resting from the battle that was done over here. They were fighting over in this area to protect this area, not losing it. And this is when Jehu was anointed through a prophet's assistant as king. Well, the king was over here. Let's see. You see, I need a different color dot here. Okay. Now, when the king was resting here, they had on the towers guards to watch them. And what the story says is he announces that he sees a rider coming like Jehu, okay? And then the king sends out to see if it is about peace, if they've actually got peace for the land over here. And then the report is that the guard tells him that he met him, but he has not returned. So then the king gets in a chariot to come riding out here to meet Jehu. Now, the only way that the guard can actually see all this happening is on this hill and the road to be over here, and they had to go around the river to come back to this area. You can't say I'm seeing somebody like a writer, then them going out and meeting him, and then turn around and then the king goes out to meet him. So this is actually about a half a mile, and he probably had seen them here because they're high enough up, and this is lowland, or that's starting to slope down into the valley for the Jordan River. Now you have to understand that there's about a 2,000 foot difference between here. So on this area that he's got to come up, you can well see him from this angle. That's why I located this hill here. Okay, now that the king is here, now later they have a battle, or they are surrounded. Okay, and the story is that when they're surrounded, that the king is walking along the top of the fort, along the walkway, and he turns to the women and he's wondering what's going on. Because they've surrounded it, they're starving the people in there, okay? And then the king tears off his robe when he hears this, and they see that he is in sackcloth. So it means he's a good guy. He's a good king. He's trying to follow our Creator. And what happens is he sends this king the king sends his guard or servant or something to go talk to a prophet that is inside the fort here. And he tells him that tomorrow the answer will be at your gate. So what happened is the next day was there was people that had been trapped out here or two men that were trapped outside the fort, and yet it was they were still not being captured. They knew that they were surrounded, and they were saying, well, if we go to the fort, we die because people are starving in there, so let's give ourselves up to where they're camping. And now this is a different battle, and I believe that it was over here on this side. They had crossed the river over here, and their encampment was probably over in here someplace. The stories are two different stories that I was just saying. One was when Jehu became king, and then later years is what I'm saying is this next king is got this problem being surrounded. And when they went to the camp, they found that everybody had left in such a hurry that they were dropping things as they ran away. So as they were eating the food, they realized that they better go tell them at the gate. So he goes and tells them at the gate that they have left. So they thought, oh, this is just they're waiting for us to come out. But when they went out there, they said that they followed this track of them dropping stuff all the way to the river. And I believe that maybe they should do a dredging or do a metal search in the river somewhere in between here to see if there was any remnants from this way that they took off. But anyways, I'm trying to point out about this king in Samaria, where Samaria is located by our Creator telling us where, in his hidden formats, where Samaria is at. Because when you understand that story, and that is their new capital city, it can't be where it's located. They got it located almost in the middle. But how couldn't the guard announce those type of things? Anyways, listen to my words, my Creator. Do not hide yourself from my petitions. Give your attention to me and answer me, for I am restless and now complaining. I am surely distracted because of the voice of my enemy. Because of the pressure of our wicked, for they bring trouble upon me. For they also have brought trouble upon me because of the pressure of, because of the voice of the enemy, because of the pressure of, I would say, are wicked. I would put evildoers there. I am surely distracted because of the voice of our enemy, which later we're going to find out then they were oppressed. And because of the pressure of our wicked, for they also have brought trouble upon me. I would say evildoers. Evildoers, I've been telling you, are those that have left our Creator, for they have also brought trouble upon me. And in anger they bear a grudge against me. My heart is in anguish within me, and the terrors of death have fallen upon me. Fear and trembling have come upon me. If I had wings like a dove, I would fly away to be at rest. I would wander far away and lodge in the wilderness. I would hasten to my place of refuge from their stormy winds. For now for me, confused. Now be for me and confuse them, my Lord. Divide their tongues, for I see strife in our fortress. Here's what I'm saying. And as I walk around on the walls, there is a wickedness and troubles within our midst. This is destruction from their oppression. I guess to make this true, their siege. There is wickedness and trouble in our midst. This destruction is from their they're besieging me. Their siege. I don't think that's how it's spelled. No, they're surrounding, I'm looking for the word siege. So how do I get to that? Getting closer here. Besieging. They lay siege. Okay. Now let's see, which one do I want to use? This destruction is from their besieging us. This destruction is from their besieging us, for it is not the enemy who reproaches me, then I could bear it, nor is it one whom hates me, for I could hide myself from him. but it is my people and equals, my companions and familiar friends. See, the king lived in this fortress, and it was like a city fortress. When you read the story of how Jezebel was killed, Jehu comes into the gate and she's calling out from the wall. Her place was built on the wall, so the king had his place there, and then you had everybody else, like a small city inside there. It wasn't a large city, but it was pretty big. I mean, but it was a fortress, and they didn't build their fortress out of blocks or anything like that. They would have been fortresses made out of wood. And this is my companions and familiar friends. As for me, I call upon our Creator to save us. I was complaining and restless, and he heard my petitions. Then he redeemed our lives from their besiege, or their siege. Siege against from their besiege, from their siege against us. And that's what I'm saying. Our Creator redeemed them. So how could how did he redeem them? You'd have to know the story I told you, that he sent to for a prophet to find out what was going on, seeking word from our Creator. And then I told you the story of how our Creator redeemed them by saying, your answer will be at the gate tomorrow. And our Creator made them flee. Okay? So this, by he redeemed our life from their siege. Okay? That is what is important to know, who this king is. And I've got to look that up, because there's going to be 2 stories now from him. And that was pretty good. So let's move on to 59. My Creator, deliver me from my enemies. Okay, I moved. Is this the end of the text? Yeah, okay. This was just a note to me that I moved the text from here to here. Okay, it reads better. My Creator, deliver me from my enemies, or them that rise up against me. Deliver me from those who do wickedness, and save me from men of bloodshed. For they have set an ambush for my life. Here's me an attack, have launched an attack against me. Rise yourself to help me. You are the Creator of Israel. Okay, now this was reading so differently. I have part 1 and part 2. So what can we get out of here? Well, this one is nothing but a piece, but can I use it for someplace else? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this and designated yellow, and I'm going to put all the yellows together. Rise and punish their kingdom. Do not be gracious to any of them, for our Creator is my stronghold, and our Creator will let me look upon my foes. Will let me look down upon my foes. They're lower than him. They're under. Anyways, our Lord is a shield from their words. Let them be caught in their pride. On the account of their cursing you. Okay, now there is one king that is talked about when they're cursing our Creator. And the lies they spake against you. Destroy them in your wrath, that they be no more. that man, they had added the text. It seems like I hadn't decided what to do with their added words. That man now knows that our Creator rules for us, that we sing of his strength, and we joyfully sing of and this would just be love. We sing for joyful of your love, of his love. And that would be for us. There we go, right there. That we sing of his strength, and we joyfully sing of his love for us. For he has been our stronghold, our refuge in the day of our distress. Okay. This too is a piece. I can't place it. He has been our stronghold, our refuge in day of our distress. So this is past tense, past a problem that had happened. But I can't place it anywhere. Oh yes, they're cursing against you. Now this cursing against you happens. Let me see. I need my kings list here. And in this list, it is this king here that those that were the Assyrians came down and took over Israel. Okay, and you can see that they were ending here, that they had lost everything, because that's the years for this king, and then there was no king for 5 years here. But from this time down, this king is in charge of Jerusalem, and they surrounded Jerusalem, and the captain for the Assyrians was boasting and bragging that don't depend on your Creator, because we just got done killing every one of you kings, and all these other gods did not save them. And that's when our Creator actually was being cursed against somebody, or from somebody, as being an enemy coming to their gate. There is no other text at that showing this. And he went to the house for our Creator, and at his gate he was praying and petitioning to our Creator with a few of the officials, and then he sent I think to a prophet, and then the prophet said to him, don't worry, that our Creator now is going to give him a rumor that his king is now in battle up in where he's at, and that would have been Assyrians against the Babylons, for who's the kingdom up there. And actually, when you understand when our Creator gives us the his hidden format, they actually joined together, and then their kings, they've agreed that one king will be from one area for a while, then another king from their area for a while. And then what happened is then Persia took over. Persia came in and conquered them. But the object is that it is this king here that is saying these words below here. Was it 59 I'm speaking of? Yes, when cursing you. So this has to be from him. So it'd be words from King Now in your Bible, they have an IAH at the end. I tried to shorten these words up so they're easier to remember and easier to say. But that would be the end of this one here, is cleanup. And why I'm saying it's words from him. And we have other words from him as well. Now we need to get to 64. Now that means there's quite a few that I threw out. Now when I'm saying I'm throwing them out, I can't say that without looking at every one of them. There might be some that have pieces and that I've got in yellow, but the ones that I've got in blue, they're just need too much editing, and I'm going to go over them. But I've already pretty much told everybody why in their first the first steps that I've done. So I will have all the links that when you come across these videos, that then the first thing I'll do is put them in there so you can quickly find them and have no problem. 64, Psalm 64. We're going to put a title on it. Preserve our lives from the raiders, from our enemy. Hide me from evildoers and from those who do wickedness, who sharpen their tongue like a sword and aim their bitter speech like arrows. They shoot from hiding at our guiltless. They hold fast to an evil purpose. Is there, oh, okay. Thought there might have been double space there. They talk of lion pits secretly. They say, who can see them? They devise injustice. They devise injustices with well-conceived plots. But our archers with their arrows, suddenly they were wounded. So they made them to stumble, and now their own tongues are against them. But our archers with their arrows suddenly wounded them. Now, can I make sense out of what that is right there? Can you? So they made them stumble, and now their own tongues are against them. Okay. Now, what makes me different than everybody else is I don't have a belief. I keep telling people and telling you our Creator made me see Him. And in the video that I have in the description is about how to visit the abyss. And it would be that maybe, but our men with their arrows suddenly wound them. Because see, what they're talking about is laying these pits secretly, and when they say who can see them, you have no knowledge of the female goddess. And if somebody whispered in your ear and said, do you want to see her? And you kind of like, well, I don't believe there is a creator, so why not? Well, what they would do is first teach you how to meditate. And then they would tell you to do it on a certain day at a certain time. And that's this laying the secret pit. For there are devising injustice and well-conceived plots. This is the plot I'm telling you about, how they lay this. And then what would happen is you would have this experience with a so-called female goddess. But this has to be changed from archers and their arrows to our men and their knowledge. Okay, our men with their knowledge. Suddenly wounded them. Now see, what they do is they say you have to have this sex practice with her in order to live forever and become a god. That's why they say they become gods. Because if they meditate daily and they aren't meditating all night long, I'm pretty sure, I think it's the Buddhists, they wake up at by 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock. Anyways, if you're meditating every day, it takes 10 years before you start having a visitor come to you while you're in the abyss. They don't know where they're at, but they start learning that this darkness that they're in, people can come up and talk to them. And this is, after 25 years, it happens to them every day. But the object is that this is their proof of afterlife. Okay, when you talk or see anything east, say movies or something, they'll talk about their forefathers, or they're going to go and be with them. They know that their life is going to exist after death. But this is their answer comes from these people who meditate every day. Now, but our men with their knowledge suddenly wounded them. This is what I've done, is our Creator has given me this knowledge that if you follow what I've said in that video, males from 13 years old up can do this safely 3 times to witness they have a soul, witness they have the abyss, and witness that there's an afterlife. And what happens is that's a challenge to them that we have a soul, and because they don't believe we have a soul, they believe they have a soul after they have this experience with the female goddess. So that's what I'm putting in here, and that's why I'm changing these words to our men with their knowledge suddenly wounded them, because they had no answer for this that I'm doing even today. I mean, when a Buddhist or a Taoist or anyone who meditates to have this female practice, sex with female goddess, comes and actually realizes that answer, that anybody can do this, that's when they change their mind, and they didn't know that this is a repeatable, anything that is repeatable, and repeatable by meaning every action that is done repeats itself, and this can be the same experience over and over. When I challenged them in 95 and told them that I know more about their practice because our Creator taught me their practice, let me experience some of their practice, and I rejected their practice. Then I went around looking for them. The internet was still young at that time. I don't think there was, maybe 95. There couldn't have been more than maybe 20 million web pages out there, but I found them out there. They were on Yahoo's message boards. They were talking to each other. And when I went and challenged them, they said, you don't know what's going on. And then I said, okay, since we're on this Buddhist board, we're going to play a game, and I'm challenging everyone here who is the king of the hill, because that's the way the Buddhists do it over thousands of years, of who has the highest knowledge of this practice, that they are the leader, okay? And what they do is they sit around and ask each other questions. You have to answer their question, then you get to ask a question and go back and forth. And the one who has more knowledge and explaining more knowledge is the king of the hill. Well, and that's where king of the hill comes from, by the way. But the object here is when I done that, when I beat them by knowing more, then I told them about this practice, and if they find righteous men, that they might be redeemed by our Creator and say the same thing I do, because everything is repeatable, and if our Creator repeats this is how he's going to do this, because he redeemed me 7 times. I'm kind of a little strong-headed, and I thought I could go out there and beat every one of them. 7 times I almost died, but our Creator redeemed me, and put me back here, and here I am today, explaining what this knowledge is, that here I need to add these words here, and this is coming from my experience, and now they are suddenly wounded, because what happened to those guys was they found some righteous men. They ended up seeing our Creator, and things have been different since then. They had a war, and they know that they're shutting down their practice. The world was, America was almost swallowed up by this practice. I mean, billboards, signs, everything was encrypted their way. I mean, you can't see it because you don't understand it, but I knew what was going on, and then they started taking everything down. Example, before this happened, the letter C was dominant in all the advertisements, that left-handed crescent moon, C, okay? For those that want to know that each of these letters have a special meaning on their own, and then they're put together to mean something extra other than just the word them. It's this forked tongue type of thing, how they deceive you by saying one thing and it actually means another. But what happened was, now the dominant letter that you see is the letter X. You might have seen how the X-Men movie are now helping humans. This isn't a game that's going on before you. It's a war again. They're having a war among themselves. And it has actually spread to Europe. When you go over to Europe, now Europe has, in the last 10, 12 years, they have started getting all the letter X dominated in their advertisements, especially around Halloweeny time. And what do I mean by Halloweeny time? This practice that once a year a male's penis retracts inside its body, becomes half man, half beast. If you look at the ancient Assyrian half man, half beast, and a lot of the mythological animals are based on this practice and what happens. And what you see is them getting rid of this practice and agreeing that their knowledge does not need to be needed to become a god, that through proving Jesus existed and he's not a myth, that or a made-up story for them. Example, when I say a male's penis retracts inside his body, well, how long does it stay there? Well, they have in the text, Jesus said he's going to be buried for 3 days, and that is the truth. It's gone for 3 days, and then at the sighting of a new moon, it's returns to be normal. But this is what is known as mankind. So when you see me adding the word mankind in here, I'm specifically pointing to those people in the middle of the writing to stop what they're doing here. Because what happens when you read the text, Jesus was not buried for 3 days. This means and proves that they have started with stories not of their own. And that's very important for you to understand. In fact, when you read the 1611 preface, they were happy that the learned man now had the true calendar, and not the calendar that our Creator gave him, which was at the summer solstice was the first of the year. You read the 1611 preface and you'll see that right off the bat that they're happy that they countered our Creator's words. So there's more proof that the ones who are editing have this practice. Anyways, I go through many of Jesus's stupidity words that he says, and I correct them, and I will be doing the 4 Gospels, and I'll show you the truth of Jesus. But right now I'm doing the Psalms as they are to show you the truth, and what we're doing is getting some revealing of who actually wrote them because of the knowledge that I have been given. Now, this is what they're doing, and they stumble, and now their own tongues are against them, see? And that's the same thing as I just got done explaining. They have in their own world. Now here's some text that actually fits the format, but I thought it was out, but I also knew it was okay that it might go someplace else. So how do I define what this is? And that's words against their goddess. Now, if you're thinking that you just come across this and thought I'm just talking to talk here, and you're saying, well, nobody tells me anything about this. I've never heard this before. Well, let me show you something here. In Malachi 2:11, when Judah was a kingdom, they profaned his sanctuary, and his sanctuary is not a sanctuary for him, it's his house for meeting with our Creator. So they're tricking you with the word sanctuary. But the object is, it says, they had married the daughter of a foreign god. How do you marry a daughter of a foreign god? Well, you don't know, and I'm telling you. They marry her by having a meditation sex practice. So now you think that's just one verse. Well, let's go to here. Here's Jeremiah. He calls her the Queen of Heaven. And here it talks about our forefathers, our kings and our princes. They did this in the cities of Judah. And they had plenty of food and they were well off, because one of our promises from our Creator is that if you're unto me, you will always have bread. That's why the wheat is before him on the table off to the side with the lampstand. And then come down, they have made vows and burned sacrifices to the Queen of Heaven. Who do you think in Revelation who she is? She's the mother of all harlots, meaning anybody can have this sex experience with her. And she's the mysterious mother of Babylon. They call her mother. In fact, motherfucker is exactly what they're talking about. That's where the words come from. You don't know this, but I'm telling you how these words were made and how you use them differently. Here's an image from 2002 off of the internet, YouTube, Super Bowl halftime 2000. They're praising the female goddess here. And you know what? When you go to that video and listen to the music, it says one world, two people. One world, two people. Those that know and those that don't know. Here's the female goddess right here. Okay? So I'm not playing around. They're all over the place. And they were really, they really are in control of a lot of things, but less and less they're losing control. And as you can see, we got atheist idiots now that don't know this practice starting to come into power. So Satan's now using them. Words against their goddess. And then a piece. Okay. That gets us through 64, which I believe is all three of them. Okay. Now, I will be going on to other ones, and I know that when I looked ahead, there's a lot of these that I threw out right in this area. So if you thought that was bad that we went from, what was it, 55 to 59 to 64, I think we're going to 6, 7, and 8, and then we go into the 70s, I believe. But anyways, you're starting to learn the truth, and this is what's happening. Prophecy is happening within your days. I am sent to explain this to you. And also, you might want to actually go to the website, jesusprophecy.com, and listen to them or read the message from our Creator. He's given the hidden format, and the hidden format now is a new message, talks about how our Creator created everything and why in the stages and all the promises that he makes, and goes through many stories. And it's really shocking to see when it comes to Jesus's in the four Gospels. When I found his hidden formats there, or was given his formats to find out the truth, we now have the order of where Jesus was at pretty much most of the time, and where the disciples were at, what was going on. And there's actually the last 7 days listed twice, that the one's a 3-verse formats, and the other one's a 4-verse formats. There were 2 stories. I combined the 2 stories, but each of them had the last 7 days of Jesus in Jerusalem before he's crucified. That's how accurate our Creator's text is. And if you've been seeing that map that list of kings, that is how accurate our Creator has that text. Right down to, let me show you that again, because that's kind of, when you see the text here, or see what I found, is that when you have David's rule, Solomon's rule, these years cross back and forth, the stories cross back and forth, okay? When this king is there, it even uses that in certain year of this year, this king started ruling. So so don't think that we don't really have, I'm lying to you about our Creator's hidden formats. The text was so accurate that when these 2 numbers were together, I was only changing one of the numbers and the blanks were being filled in. And this is how accurate the text is. Look at how they intermix, how they intertwine. It's just amazing of the answers our Creator has revealed in his hidden formats. And that is only about a 5-hour read, 6 hours read maybe. And if you're going to study it and go slow in it, I hope you do, because when you read about the way our Creator created creation, it will blow your mind how descriptive it matches our knowledge of today of how the universe was formed. Anyways, on with the next one.